Good morning, everyone, and welcome to OEM Update webinar on Smart Factory and Indian manufacturing. The Smart Factory is defined as a factory where physical production processes and operations are combined with digital technology, smart computing, and big data to enhance manufacturing and supply chain management. The Smart Factory signifies a new phase in the industrial revolution that focuses heavily on real-time data, embedded sensors, connectivity, automation, and machine learning. The smart factory with the convergence of the digital and physical worlds, including information technology that is IT and operations technology that is OT, represents a leap forward from more traditional automation to a fully connected and flexible system. A complete transformation of the supply chain has become possible by using a constant stream of data from connected operations and production systems. So today, you are going to witness an engaging interactive session on smart factory and Indian manufacturing. In next 1.5 hours, leading industry experts will share their thoughts on how smart factory will enable Indian manufacturer to compete in the future. They will also talk about how smart factories can help India become a global manufacturing hub. I'm sure you will enjoy listening to the critical analysis from the horse's mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged to introduce you to today's distinguished speakers. We have with us today Mr. Subrata Karmakar, President, Robotics and Discrete Automation Business, ABB India. Welcome, sir. Mr. Samir Gandhi, Managing Director, Omron Automation India, and welcome, Mr. Gandhi. And Mr. Shamir Mudwal Wadkar, Sales Director, SARC and Middle East, Red Line Controls. Welcome, Samir, sir. So delegates, get ready to witness an engaging session on smart factory and Indian manufacturing. To take the session forward, I would like to invite Mr. Subrata Karmakar. Mr. Subrata is the President of Robotics and Discrete Automation Business for ABB in India. Robotics and Discrete Automation is writing the future of flexible factory and smart machines by providing value-added solutions in robotics and machine automation. ABB India Robotics and Discrete Automation business recorded revenue of $60 million in 2019 and has around 335 employees. Today, Mr. Subrata will be discussing about the smart factory and its impact on manufacturing. So let's welcome Mr. Subrata Karmakar.
Start with ABB. We do business with the four business area, which is electrification, and then industrial automation, motion, and robotics and discrete automations. So I am from robotics and discrete automation. My name is Subrata Karmakar. I am working in ABB and heading robotics and discrete automation business for India. Talking about who we are, basically we are a leading robot system suppliers, machine and factory automation solution providers. Almost 25 years, having 335 employees and a very state-of-art robotic shop floor, customer experience center in Bangalore, and R&D, ABB India engineers are very actively contributing to the development of R&D with the global R&D team. And we have global operation centers. We have service intelligence unit, which is basically remotely monitoring the robot performance from India. It means that ABB Indian team, which is globally installed robots and connected robots, are monitoring. So ABB Robotics is organized into segment-wise. It means that auto OEMs, you talk about tier ones, electronics, general industry, consumer segment and service robotics and machine automation. So these 6 verticals we work. It means that every verticals having a 360-degree view, including operation, including sales, including proposal engineering, including the application engineering. So it's a complete separate team who are serving for these dedicated segments. And a product and delivery platform is horizontal. And of course, very important, the service and digital platform is very horizontal, and also R&D. So, the meaning it that the service and digital platform, which has a which is horizontally aligned with all the business lines who are serving to the different markets. Now, straight I'll come to the topic, which is smart factory today. And what does it mean today? Why the Indian industry, okay, is heading towards? I see that it's a drastical change between even last 5 years if you compare the requirement, customers' requirement, and the demand. And today is a huge change. Almost I should say there's around 180-degree changes. And why these changes happens? These changes happens for you have a very high mix volume, and then you have to have a batch size is getting lower, demand from the customers on the high qualities, high productivity, high complexity of the systems. And then you also have we are also getting gradually that quality of skilled workforces are getting reduced. Okay, so this is completely market driven. This is a requirement from the customers. Today, the car what I drive, maybe after 2 years I don't like this car, or maybe within that same companies, maybe different varieties. We're talking about electronics industry. You talk about food industry today. So the complete requirements are getting changed, more standardized, more quality driven, more high productivity. These kind of parameters are driven towards the smart factories. Now, important is how how to reduce the cost, how to increase the throughput and quality. And I see that when I talk about the throughput and quality, which is so important today, I am gradually seeing that customers, even some past times when we used to talk about 95% uptime or 95% fast throughput, customers are very happy. Yes, but this 4-5% rejections, which is huge, they are also now thinking that how to improve this. Even you increase by 2 or 3% further, it is great help to the customers. So this requirement is bringing the increase of automations. These requirements are bringing the data analysis based on optimizations. So the one end coming the pressure on the market, competitive scenarios, how to bring the cost down. Other end, how to increase the throughput. And when I speak to the throughput, it's all mixture. It's how to the productivity improvement, how the quality improvement, how the process upgrades improvement. These two requirements are driven factor for increasing the automations level in the factory, and as well as data analysis based on the optimizations. Why digital matters? Why this solution and top layer of that solution? It's important because of you have to increase the reliability of the system. You have to increase the efficiency of the system, and then system has to be flexible enough to suit the demand on the product mix, demand on the batch size, and all three needs a huge level of connectivity and data, and those data should be analyzed by the skilled or application managers or engineers of the quality department, and go keep on rectify in the tails, so that end of the day systems efficiency comes better and better and better. What ABB does for this? What is the requirement? How do we make value from this data? So it's a complete a pyramid. Okay. So when I talk of the topmost layer is a collect and software raw data. And then you go for, again, the information on this. Then you have to get the advice. Advice, this level, still we say that huge application, applicable, knowledgeable people should be required who really understand the scenario, what is happening, what kind of data, where the rectification, and then go for the action area. I tell you one thing that the important of the people, important of the knowledge, it is so knowledge based scenarios today that it's not like the philosophy today that okay, you put some worker, you give some tools and tackles and things will happen automatically. It is not today. The manufacturing today, I tell you that overall my close to around 30 years experience, I am getting today the interest level of manufacturing where people where colleagues are thinking or not liking that repetitive work, but their time they wanted to spend on more and more development, more and more data analysis, more and more improvement on the process and the systems, rather than go to the shop floor and do the day-to-day stereotype work. So the total focus has been changed. So how to capture data from the manufacturing unit, and how to analyze it, and then give the action plan so that process can be improved. Automation level is giving us that kind of benchmarking today, so that we can get the from the software we can get the data analysis and prepare the action plan accordingly. And how it is possible? Of course, artificial intelligence is a core in this. Then you go with the application packages. Then you define a cell, line level, and then factory level. And all important portion, which is ABB, they have the step by step level of innovations and suit at the requirement we have, so that we can really give a very professional, very systematic approach and deliverables to the customers. With this, we recent on video I'll share where we have seen the one of the painting solutions with the pixel painting, which is coming with a very customized paint job. Then it is coming to the going to be the very I say that is a this development is one of the applications is truly revolutionary, and it will be a huge benefit to the customers to this.
Car buyers today expect greater levels of customization for their vehicles than ever before. ABB's new Pixel Paint technology gives manufacturers a simple, fast, and cost-effective solution to meet this demand. Pixel Paint removes the need for manual masking of panels. It removes double cycle time for two-ton paint jobs. ABB's system reduces costs. Pixel Paint's inkjet head features more than 1,000 nozzles. ABB's new Pixel Paint technology offers greater levels of customization for vehicles than ever before.
So now in this session of Smart Factory and Indian Manufacturing, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Shamir Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi brings with him an experience of over 30 years spanning across multiple disciplines and industries in the manufacturing and automation realms. As Managing Director, Omron Industrial Automation India, he oversees expanding the organization's footprint in the country by steering the conceptualization and execution of all key strategies related to sales and business development. While all industries have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we all are aware of this, some, including the industrial manufacturing, have been hit hardest. Whether you believe it or not, the Smart Factory could prove instrumental as manufacturers try to calculate the best route forward post COVID-19. Today, Mr. Gandhi will talk on the future of smart factory in post-pandemic era. So let's welcome Mr. Samir Gandhi.
So my topic today is about smart manufacturing and how that will impact or can impact and help Indian manufacturing in the post-pandemic era. So this is what I'm going to cover in my allotted 10 minutes. First, a little bit about Omron. Then I want to just give a context about what is smart manufacturing. Then what's the opportunity, the challenges, and then what could be done to kind of overcome these challenges from an Indian manufacturing. So first about Omron. So Omron is, some of you may be aware, we are a Japanese group, a multinational based out of Kyoto. We are over 83 years old, and we have a consolidated revenue of about $6 billion. It has multiple parts. Omron has a few divisions. Healthcare, I'm sure, is something that many of you are probably familiar with, especially the BP monitors. And we have some social systems business, and we have electro and mechanical components business. And we also have this industrial automation piece here. So as you can see, the industrial automation business contributes to more than half of Omron's global revenues. And I represent this business in India, based out of Mumbai. Okay. So moving on, this is about the portfolio, a snapshot of the portfolio of the automation business. So we believe that we have the widest product basket in the industry. Everything from relays to robots. We have input devices, which is including sensors, smart sensors, vision cameras, code readers, PLCs, complete range of micro, mini, large, motion controllers, servos, drives, and machine safety components, safety PLCs, safety light curtains, scanners, and of course a complete range of robots. Everything from fixed robotics, fixed robots, articulated, parallel, SCARA, as well as mobile robots and cobots. So everything from relays to robots is the kind of product basket we have. And we believe that using this kind of a coordinated control, we can actually develop solutions for our customers. But to do that, we must also have a lot of engineering support. So that's what we have in India, and of course across the world. So we provide support for commissioning, for startup, product optimizations, training, repair, after sales support. This is a complete 360-degree end-to-end service support is available to help our customers make solutions from this product range. So moving on, so what's smart manufacturing? I think I'm sure everybody has a view or an image about it, but I just use this slide often to kind of set the context. And as you can see, this is a typical automation configuration of any shop floor. There are always going to be sensors, actuators, drives and safety components and PLCs, some vision for quality inspection, some robotics. And of course, there is this factory automation layer where you have all the data coming up. And typically, you have in a smart factory, a smart manufacturing environment, you would have the data moving up from different layers all the way up to the cloud. So yeah, typically that's what is the image of smart manufacturing. But we don't need to have this entire structure to really call it smart manufacturing. And I will explain that as I go along in the presentation. So post-COVID world, the new normal. What are the new challenges for the Indian manufacturing? One, of course, is the social distancing on the shop floor. I think these norms are going to stay with us for some more time. So it obviously puts pressure on how we can have people on the shop floor. Then the other related point to that is unreliability or availability of skilled persons, sufficient manpower, and uncertain market dynamics that lead to high mix, low volume, requiring high flexibility. As you would have noticed, all of these 3 points were also actually covered by Subroto in his presentation just before me. So there is a convergence in terms of what are the challenges for the Indian manufacturing, especially in this post-pandemic world. But also, there is, I would say, an opportunity. And this is, I believe, the opportunity. So there is a lot of de-risking of supply chains happening by diversification. There is supply chains. Many companies are, for example, moving out of or reducing their dependence on, let's say, China or one particular location or one particular country and getting into multiple locations. This is while risk, but it's also an opportunity for, especially for the Indian market. Okay. And I believe that smart manufacturing can help the Indian manufacturing prepare for this. Because just by having this opportunity is not enough. How do we grab it? So smart manufacturing can help us do that. Okay. And let me explain how that is possible. One, of course, is that smart manufacturing can enhance productivity, reliability, and ultimately improve competitiveness. So if an Indian manufacturer wants to grab uh, a pie of the business from, say, China or some other country, they need to produce not for India, but they need to produce for the world. They need to plug into the global supply chain, which means that they need to be extremely competitive. And I think smart manufacturing helps that by improving productivity and reliability. It also helps produce zero defect products. So hence, not only do you get better quality, but you get better market realization. And it enables flexible manufacturing. It helps overcome skilled worker challenges so that the producer is able to make with more consistency, which is key requirement when you plug into global supply chains. And also, it helps make in India for the world. It helps the Indian manufacturers expand into the global market. Because if the Indian manufacturing scenario has to grow, and if we have to really contribute to 25% of the GDP by 2025, become a $5 trillion economy, then I think the Indian manufacturing has to produce for the world, not for India. And I think this is where smart manufacturing really pitches in by enabling the of higher competitiveness, better market realization, flexible manufacturing, and better quality. But it's not always easy to do this. So there are challenges to adoption. So of course, the biggest challenge to adoption is capex constraints. So yeah, money is always in short supply, especially when more than 90% of the Indian manufacturing ecosystem is actually MSME. So capex is a big constraint for them. Lack of technical know-how to design and implement the project is another constraint. And of course, a lack of skilled maintenance resource is the final constraint towards this kind of an adoption. So I just don't want to be here to, kind of give the problem and not give us kind of a solution. So let me also try and point towards a solution from my perspective and from Omron's perspective. So I think it's a very simple 3-step process. So you start with a big picture, with a vision. And this is important. So this is the kind of vision that one can draw up. Okay. What ultimately, how do I want my automation to be in the factory? How do I want my automation configuration to look like in the factory? Which is driven by my overall vision as a manufacturing engineer. Do I want to produce a diversified variety of goods, or do I want to specialize into just one type? Do I want to produce for multiple customers, or do I want to do only for one type? Do I want to produce for India, or do I want to produce for the world? So, those questions help build this kind of an image from an automation perspective. Then of course, a step-by-step approach works, which has to be at the end of the day guided by a business case. So again, I keep coming back to this configuration just from a point of view of explanation. So it's possible. We don't have to do this entire thing in one go. It is not required, not practical. Maybe it doesn't even give enough business benefit. But step-by-step approach works very well. So today, there could be the requirement of actually using a robot for a particular application or a cobot or somewhat similar, which is okay. Let's go with that first step. But if you have the overall vision, then you know that the robot or the cobot that I want to buy should be able to communicate with my factory automation layer, with my MES layer, or my ERP systems, at least at a later date. I must be able to connect it all together. Similarly, somebody may have a requirement for a quality inspection system, a vision system for quality inspection. Again, whatever system is bought, or it needs to be actually fitting into the overall piece. And then finally, one might say, okay, let me start to build a data warehouse. Let me start to build MES layer and so on. Take advantage of the data that I have on the shop floor. So it can be a very step-by-step approach and need not be in any particular sequence. I think every manufacturer will have to decide their own sequence based on their own business priority. And of course, the third step is very simple. Choose a reliable partner who shares the vision. So there's no point in choosing it's better to choose a partner who has a vision that can fulfill, or who has a product portfolio that can fulfill this vision, rather than trying to pick and choose from multiple vendors. So here's a quick recap. Start with a big picture, take a step-by-step approach, choosing a reliable partner. So that's how smart manufacturing can be implemented, and I've already explained how it helps. And so I think from a post-pandemic world, Indian manufacturing is at an inflection point today. We are at a tipping point. We could really use this to our advantage. There's a whole lot of tectonic shift happening in the global supply chains. We could use this to our advantage, plug in, get a greater share of our manufacturing, and accelerate the manufacturing curve in India. And I think smart manufacturing is going to be the key to be able to help Indian manufacturing really take advantage of this situation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medium, small, and micro enterprises, that is MSMEs, play a very vital role in a country's economy. In India, MSMEs contribute around 8% of the GDP. Around 40% of the country's total export originates from MSMEs, whereas 45% of the total manufacturing output comes from this sector. Smart Factory can play a critical role in empowering MSMEs, thereby contributing to the nation's progress. We have Mr. Sameer Mudalwadkar with us to discuss on how can small and medium-sized manufacturing companies benefit from Smart Factory. Mr. Sameer is currently working with Redline Controls as Sales Director, SAARC and Middle East. He is responsible for driving business growth for Redline Controls automation, IIoT, and networking products and solutions in SAARC and Middle East region. So delegates, let's welcome Mr. Sameer Mudalwadkar.
So what is, from about Redline. So we are a company founded in 1972 in USA. We have presence in around 15 countries now. And we are one of the trusted partners for thousands of companies across globe. We are part of Spectris PLC, which is a London Stock Exchange registered company, which is into material analysis, testing, line instrumentation, and industrial controls. So broadly, that is how it is, and it is around 1.8 billion pound turnover group. Redline is part of the Spectris PLC UK. Redline at a glance, if you see what all things we do. So in industrial networking, we have Ethernet switches, cellular M2M products, communications converters. Within the switches, we have all the variety, unmanaged, managed, monitored, power over Ethernet, routers, IP67 and OEM, especially for customers in defense and railways. We have very good, interesting products for in the switch category. Under industrial automation, we have process controls. Right from PID controls, data acquisition, IoT gateways, RTUs and IOs. So then signal conditioners, sensors, HMI and panel meters. So the standard HMI, standard panel meters, that is usually large LED displays, all those things. But one specific thing which I would like to highlight here is the HMI, special category of HMIs for extended temperatures, hazardous area applications, or defense and aerospace applications. We have those category of HMI also. And then third is the edge controlling or the edge computing platform, where we have our flagship product by the name FlexEdge, which is like anything in, anything out. It has inbuilt networking. It has protocol conversion. We support more than 300 drivers. It has also support for OPC UA, web server, and many other things. So I'll cover it in more details in the following slides. So from a smart manufacturing perspective, the biggest challenge any manufacturer faces is the variety of automation platforms they have on the shop floor, and connecting to various different platforms and taking data or picking data from those devices and converting that data into a IT perspective, or from a business perspective, how to get that data, and then accessing IT and OT data together to actually make informed decisions. So that is the area where all manufacturers struggle, and they want solutions around that, so that we actually achieve the dream of a smart manufacturing in India. So if you see our software platform Crimson, it's like a one in all. It connects to everything. So you can have connectivity with the factory floor, where you have multiple different protocols from different manufacturers. You have OT/IT Connect devices, so you can push the data to cloud. You can have OPC UA connectivity, web server. You can have GSM connectivity. You can have Wi-Fi, many other things. So in all, you can connect to any level of data and convert it into a relevant piece for making the right decisions to improve efficiency and increase productivity. If you see from, and the same platform or the same engine is common for all our product portfolios. So it may be a ruggedized advanced touchscreen, or a ruggedized controller, or a standard touchscreen, or a data acquisition system. The engine remains same, the development platform remains same. That is the best part of this. And this software program is free for the customers. You can download it from our website, and you can do your own engineering, which is very user friendly from a cost perspective also. Now, the FlexEdge platform that we promote, and which is the latest technology edge computing device. If you see connections of legacy and new systems through brand independent protocols, that is the key, that as I earlier also alluded. So we support 300 plus protocols, which has more than 300,000 combinations. We have the same platform can have PLC programming, HMI visualization, and on the basis of KPIs and widgets. So we do have the Isograph and IEC 61131 support, in addition to our own Crimson 3.2 software. The edge computing platform, FlexEdge, it has a ruggedized design for all environments. So it can go up to for any kind of application, right from a discrete area, or a renewable energy platform, or utilities, or water, wastewater, or oil and gas. Any kind of environment it can work, manufacturing environment it can work. It has So it has a lot of remote support and remote updation capabilities and app software updates. And it has all certifications. So UL, EX, ICX, ABS, DNV, all the major certifications that you require for this kind of applications. The operating environment, as I also earlier alluded, so the total digitization for a homogeneous information flow. So what it means, so you have multiple different protocols or systems on a shop floor. It can be a robot, it can be a CNC, it can be a PLC, it can be any type of control system, and you need a homogeneous information flow. For that, this kind of platform works comes in handy, and customer are finding a lot of value in this. Aggregating and analyzing of data. So it is also having a lot of capabilities to aggregate and analyze data, and then provide it into any kind of database and upwards of that, including the cloud. Remote monitoring of trends, statistics, KPIs, SMS notifications via network or HDMI interfaces. All this is possible in one device. So you have to have only the respective slid here, and that functionality is at your discretion. Data control and monitoring alarms for non-compliant data values. That is also possible. Access to locked PLC data. So this is again a challenge which some manufacturers face on the shop floor. Connectivity of mobile machines, where you have environments where you have a lot of moving parts and moving machines or mobile machines which have to be integrated. And independent of PLC brands. So we don't, since we support 300 plus drivers, it helps us in talking to any kind of platform. On the enterprise side, so transfer of data to SCADA or MES or ERP or server or and cloud, cloud connection with MQTT connectors, pre-configured cloud providers. So we support all: Azure, Google Ignition, Amazon, Unidots, Sparkplug, any kind of cloud platform, we support that. Secure remote access with support of all needed IT security certificates. So that is also possible. We do have cybersecurity certifications. Security also is an important thing which is certified. Network traffic control and protection. Because we have very strong products on the networking side, that capability it comes handy in this product also from a network traffic control point of view. Monitoring and updating of large group of devices. So you can have multiple different protocols and multiple different devices of each protocol on a single device. And the sizing of that can be done on the basis of the application complexity. So this control platform also has a plugin of different modules in one slate. So these are the slates you have here on the right side. And you can have a Wi-Fi slate or a GSM slate or a serial slate. It can be IO also is possible. Up to 10 IO modules are possible. And it is all modular. So you can have controller communication, which is secured, and you can have the aggregate and analyze the data between two controllers. And obviously on the enterprise side, you can do all the kind of applications that are required, right from SCADA connectivity or MES or ERP connectivity or cloud connectivity. So that this is about FlexEdge. And then there are different areas of application. It may be a standard manufacturing application or even a mining kind of scenario or oil and gas or an automotive or a pharma environment. So we have done applications in all areas. Definitely all our manufacturers are looking for solutions like this, and we get a lot of such inquiries, and we are doing a lot of business with different manufacturers in India and outside India. And we are ready to help all type of manufacturers in any type of industrial environment to solve these kind of problems through our technology.
How Smart Factory will enable Indian manufacturers to compete in the future?
Okay, so
what kind of competitive edge they will be having?
as I already showed in my thought in the presentation, that one of the thing is important is how to make your cost down, how to improve the throughput, and to enable this, you need definitely required a data analysis, more and more automations. You know, one of the questions I saw today in this that, so I strongly feel that it's completely competitive edge will be there and is there, and this is completely will come and driven through the more and more data to get the system, how you can improve the throughput, how you can improve the quality of the systems, and for that, even all the suppliers and technological suppliers, companies like ABB, Omron, and all, this is most important to prepare themselves or ourselves to get into that kind of technology level and serve to the customers. And we also need to give a lot of support to the customer to make that adaptability in their shop floor, because it's a complete change in the shop floor scenario. Okay, this a complete change. The new technology or more and more smart technology. Even customers has to have a lot of changes within their selves, their organization, their employees, their training, their educations, and also as a suppliers, we also have a lot of responsibility to fulfill those area, those give more and more support, so that smart solution go to the more and more productivity high and quality high, and then it solves the purpose. So my question is very short in this case. Definitely more and more automation and more and more data collection and data analysis, and rectify the system in the back end, so that you get the higher quality of the production and higher flexibility sales. So that's how you can compete in the market today.
I think let me try and explain this by giving an example, a case study example. Okay, so we have a company that manufactures packaging machines here in India, and of course they make good good packaging machines. But one of the challenges that they faced is that they were actually supplying it to their customers in India, and also they were exporting some of these machines. The challenge was about service, of providing service, and also about analyzing the performance of these machines. So while they had automation on these machines, these were kind of a standalone automation. They had PLCs, they had servo drives, and they had HMIs and everything else, but sensors, but it was a standalone kind of thing. So what they did was they actually used the data from the machine, from their machines, and they built a software layer for themselves, a diagnostic layer, okay, which enabled them to gather data from each of these machines, wherever they were, onto their cloud, onto their software. And because this data or that they gathered, they were able to diagnose machines, they were able to study the performance of these machines, and also provide remote service support, at least for the minor issues that these packaging machines were facing. The impact, I do not have all the numbers, and of course I cannot disclose names and data here, but if you see the impact after they implemented this is that they were able to cater to a larger export market. Today they are discussing about orders from Russia and elsewhere, so that they using this technology, they are able to convince the customers that we are able to support the machines even sitting from India. And overall, of course, their cost levels and their quality levels are at par or better than a European multinational, and probably cheaper than a European multinational. But by bringing in this edge of smart automation, by using automation to bring in this edge, they've been able to build a kind of a differentiation from their other competitors, and build a kind of a differentiation or a niche for themselves. So this is not an isolated example. There are other cases similar, different. There are other cases, and so what it. That's why you say that I have strong views on this. Actually, these views are coming because I feel very strongly, and I've seen it happening in the industry, that people, the manufacturers who have been able to appreciate this view, have had the vision to implement this, have reaped the benefits. And so, as an Indian, I feel that if more and more of our manufacturing industry takes this up, you know, it can really be an inflection point for our industry. It can really be an inflection point for manufacturing in India as a whole.
Yeah, so I totally would like to second what Mr. Subrata and Mr. Gandhi said, and this is kind of thing which many manufacturers talk to us also, and how they can create a differentiator with respect to their competitor or their customers, and how they can better position their solutions to those manufacturers. I mean, from a smart manufacturing point of view, to change, not change topic, but to add to it, or from a broader perspective. See, globalization means one more thing in addition to a lot of other things, that is being competitive. And I mean, Indian manufacturers, the day they start becoming more competitive as compared to their global peers, they will be able to capture a larger market. Now, that can happen by the virtue of adapting to a lot of technologies, as my co-panelist also alluded, and also understanding the importance of smart manufacturing, how it helps in improving productivity, how it improves the efficiency, how it reduces losses or the the unwanted wastes in a manufacturing scenario, how the quality also can be improved, how a global quality product can be made which can compete with any other country's product, and yet be lean in the management of the whole operation and be cost competitive. So once we have these points addressed, and that can only happen by the virtue of technology adoption, then I think there is nothing looking back for the Indian manufacturers to be global players or global competitive manufacturers.
As I'm sure you're aware, many countries are pushing their manufacturing towards, to adopt smart manufacturing. So Germany, for example, has a stated goal for Industry 4.0, and of course they gave birth to the entire idea of Industry 4.0. And so they are investing quite a lot. Look at China. I think a lot of us in the media, a lot of the media and a lot of us in the industry always compare ourselves with China manufacturing, right? But if you look at China, for example, China took on a massive goal of robotization of their industry, about increasing the number of robots that they use in the industry. And if you look at the penetration of the robotics in India, in China, for example, today they are about close to 100 robots per 10,000 peak workers. And India, we are at about 3. Okay, so there's a multiple variance for us here. But so how did China do it? So they had a plan in place. They gave subsidies for companies to buy robots, for example. They gave subsidies for retraining. They did many things. I don't think we can get into a lot of that. But the point is that governments definitely have a role to play in nudging the industry towards smart manufacturing. And this can be by helping develop the ecosystem. There are many things to do, but developing the ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, it's about training. It's about developing skills. It's not easy. It's not just simply, you don't say, okay, you add, you have 20 robots, but then who's going to maintain it? Who's going to run it? Who's going to look after all of this? You need to have skill development. Then there is going to be skill shifting. I think that one of the questions always people ask me, and this is always discussed. Okay, so you bring in automation, so you probably have a labor issue, but there is going to be skill shifting. So you need to invest in retraining people. That is going to be another aspect to it. And then, as I mentioned, capex is always a challenge, right? So there is, if some industry has to adopt it, maybe the use case is giving an ROI of maybe 4 years. But if there is a subsidy, maybe that ROI becomes like 2 years, which makes it easier for the industry to adopt. And it's not just about robo. I mean, I just took robo as an example, but overall, the direction is towards this. And why? And of course, industry bodies also have a role to play. Definitely, I'm a part of. I'm a member of the CII Smart Council, Smart Manufacturing Council, and the CII Manufacturing Council. There is a lot of activity happening in the within CII, which is being spearheaded by these industry bodies to actually propagate the idea of smart manufacturing in the manufacturing. So there is a role for all of us to play. But specifically, I think we need to look at scaling up, we need to look at retraining, and we need to look at some kind of capex reduction incentives to help the industry adopt smart manufacturing.
In continuation with what Mr. Samir Gandhi said, what I feel that from government point of view today, there are a lot of encouraging things are going into this manufacturing industry along with Atmanirbhar Bharat and all kind of scheme we know. And also we know that recent past India has come up with easy to do business, which is almost is around 60, 62 ranking, and which was around 132. I feel encouraging. Yes, governments are very active on this, but I need more. Okay, my expectation is more from government. I am aware of the government is coming up with a very good incentive plan and for certain areas, certain industry. In spite of that, my expectation is more. My expectation is more on when public sectors, we all, even today, I see that more and more automations are coming from the private sectors, correct? It's a private driven, correct? You talk about automobile, you talk about electronics, but I want more and more utilization of technology from public sector either. And then why 60? Why not within 30? Why not within 20? So when people gives us some way, and definitely we need more out of it. And then we have seen the GST, one country, one taxation, which was absolutely good. Lot of people are talking about India from global companies, customers, and and also group ABB companies. So it's quite good scenario and good atmosphere today within India for manufacturing industry. Talking about your second question on industry norms and whether global companies are coming, I am certain under some NDA, I cannot talk on this at this moment, but I can only tell you many companies are looking for India as a base for their automations. And I also, your first question was, is kind of any kind of transformation. Of course, I believe into it. It's very, very positive vibes going into the market, and definitely it's very good start. But we need to understand that we need to speed up. Speed up, it's not all about government initiatives. It's also the companies like us has a lot of responsibilities to make it fast, because market will not wait. Okay, the drive, I am saying this, we really need to encash it today. We need to show our capabilities to the investors so that they believe into India, and they also more gets more and more interest. Okay.
The government's focus on making individual sector a prominent sector from exports point of view or from a manufacturing capability enhancement point of view. Say, for example, refining. Now, government wants to make India as a refining hub, automotive. We want to start exporting to many countries, which already we are doing, but we want to enhance that. So if you take sector-wise capacity building, the government has a lot of focus. If you see the solar sector, I mean, the new solar policy, or if you see the steel, cement areas, because of the infrastructure push that we see. So you will see a lot of traction in all these areas. The smart city mission, for example. So we see a lot of activities going around the water, wastewater segment, because of we have to achieve that 5-year plan of giving tap water to everybody, and awareness around cleanliness and all those things. So that is driving a lot of things, and these are the areas where we see a lot of investments coming in the coming time, and that will give not only from a business point of view, but from a smart manufacturing or from a smart living perspective to all citizens, also from a broader perspective. That will give a lot of edge to us as a country in the coming time.
It's not just about, for example, putting vision for quality inspection just for the sake of it, or putting robots just because there is a target to put 30 robots in my factory by 2022 or something. It's never going to happen like that. But if there is so of course there is going to be a business case, and the business case demands a certain ROI, and I think that is good to respect that ROI, because if we do not respect the ROI, then the investment or the capex may go into areas that are not really going to benefit the industry. So it's a good control to have. Again and again, typically what we have seen in Indian industry is that most follow a very a graded approach. They start by doing some things, and then they build onto it, and that's a perfectly nice way to do, especially for MSMEs. So for larger industries, of course, when they set up a new unit, availability of capex can be relatively easier. But for MSMEs where capex is scarce, they have to be extremely controlled and careful about where they invest. So I think that's the approach they follow in terms of a graded approach. I don't think I can give a percentage answer to what is the investment required for smart manufacturing. It would really depend on what area of manufacturing that somebody is looking at. You could put a barcode scanner for a few thousand rupees, or you could put a robot that costs maybe more than 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs. So it really depends on what you're looking at.
So though definitely we cannot give a particular percentage of ROI, but definitely you can say that it pays back.
Well, it definitely pays back. I mean, I'm sure it pays back. If it's not paying back, then it's not worth investing anyways.
One area I feel that is investment is required, which is from education sector. I think the engineering colleges should be addressed these smart manufacturing topics with their students in the future, so that we get more and more hands-on experienced people, students from this. So this is another area government should immediately address upon and take care.
What can be done for upliftment of Indian mechanical engineering field while a large majority of students are running away from this branch? Some of the factors that impact these are old, that is non-updated academic curriculum and low salaries and the kind of work profile designated to mechanical engineers. So this kind of technical webinars help a lot and motivate us to adapt ourselves better. So that is the point of view of Mr. Sarthak Chanda. Thank you so much, Sarthak, for sharing your point of view as well. So the first question is from Mr. Pankaj Chand. He's asking that, are Indian manufacturers really ready to invest in the technology?
Yeah, I think they are, and it's happening. So
right.
It's happening. But I don't know, somehow there seems to be a feeling that, smart manufacturing is a completely different animal from usual manufacturing. Actually,
Right.
no, it's about using your normal manufacturing operation and process. You use more and more automation so that you are actually able to make it smarter, better quality oriented, utilize data more, diagnose it more, better consistency, better productivity. That's it. So it's not a different animal that you go and buy.
Right.
Sure.
And Mr. Samir Mudalwadkar also has addressed that which are the segments that are going to drive the growth for smart factories. So that is well addressed. The question is already. There's a question from Mr. Sandeep Roy. He's saying that how do you foresee the adaptability of automation in a populous country like India? So, Mr. Samir Mudalwadkar, would you like to address this?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. I mean, and everybody would have that. But if we have to be a globally competitive manufacturer, or we have to manufacture certain products at a certain scale, uh, then obviously technology or the smart manufacturing has to be adopted. And the way I look at it is basically enabling people. It's not about taking away anything from them. So, for example, the latest technologies around machine learning or the APCs or AI, they are enabling the operators to do their job in a more productive and more efficient way. uh, to help them, they work as an assistance in or help them in doing their jobs in a certain manner to reduce losses, to reduce risks, to reduce increase safety from all point of view. And that's why Indian manufacturers in many sectors have understood that, and they have invested in that, and they are also continuing it. And I don't see a problem from a long term perspective also, that people will not accept it. It is if you see the non-industry experience of AIs, the way we have adopted to those, I don't see a challenge that similar thing happening in manufacturing sector. For example, few years back, you never thought of a Ola or Uber or ordering a pizza over phone. So all these things are an indicator that we are early adopters or the fast adopters of all technologies, and we want technology to enable ourselves to do our job in a better manner. It's only about approaching it with an open mind and open arm and working on it, I would say. So I don't see a challenge there.
From one of our delegates is saying that augmented reality and virtual reality technologies are shortly expected to help humans perform intricate tasks accurately and thus prove their worth. How will it impact the factories? So, Subrata sir, would you like to address this?
So on AR and VR, I think that it's a very uh, unique in nature. It's very important to visualize the entire engineerings and the capabilities, even if you actually have it. Okay, so I think that it definitely is one of the very important part of automations, and it can give a very good experience to the people, to the colleagues, to the customers, and it's important for training. So I feel that it will definitely help us.
Do most MSMEs are just adopting new technologies, or do they really have a smart manufacturing roadmap? It's very, very critical question, sir.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I think again, there is no one answer to this question. So, of course, many MSMEs, especially the ones that are trying to plug into the global supply chain, are the ones who are at the forefront of adopting more and more smart manufacturing either in their manufacturing process or on their machines. It depends on what they're making, what segment of industry they are addressing. But yes, it is happening. Uh, I think a lot of good adoption is happening by the MSME sector in India, and which is actually very encouraging.
Yeah, so actually the challenges with these kind of industries or sectors is the scale of the solution. They have the requirement of solutions. I mean, if you go with a very large basket of product or solution to these kind of manufacturers, that is not the requirement. You have to have a very start small but scale it up kind of approach, and as they adopt to the few stages of technologies, and they start seeing the value of those kind of dashboards or the production improvement data, then it obviously can be scaled up. And so that's why you have to start small and then gradually build on it. That's how I look at it.
There are lots of questions pouring. There is one more question from Mr. Anirudh Kapre. He's saying that do smart devices and big data make manufacturing smart? So is it all?
Very good question. Thanks for this. I feel that, of course, smart devices is smart people.
So there's one more interesting question from Mr. Kamal is, how practical is artificial intelligence in Indian manufacturing? Is anyone you know of putting artificial intelligence to practical use in shop floor? Any practical example?
Uh, yes. So I think there is AI is coming to the edge computing now.
Right.
So we have good examples in terms of AI in vision cameras. We have good examples of AI in PLCs, and there is adoption very early stage, but there is starting. This is an early technology, and so this kind of an adoption is starting to happen in India as well. So there are some examples of especially AI vision having been used in the industry uh, to be able to identify defects which a normal vision camera would miss, or identify good product which a normal vision camera would actually reject as a bad quality product. So yeah, it's happening.
So now we know that why a particular company or factory should adopt smart factory concept. We know as a particular industry why they should adopt, a smart factory. Now the Indian government is focusing on vocal for local as well as make in India. So I would like to understand from all the panelists that how the smart factory concept or adoption of smart factory can make India a global manufacturing hub or manufacturing hub for the globe. To start with Mr. Subrato.
First of all, global manufacturing hub. We saw this. We hear it a lot. Recent past or global village, global manufacturing hub is very good. But only thing is, I say in terms of this, that what we are looking for, are we are looking for that we will be supplying from India to globe? Is it our vision? Or is it that first step by step we establish ourselves as a supplier where we can produce the global benchmarking quality products, correct? That level, and then you look for global. Okay, definitely in this whole process it will not be so step by step approach. Definitely global companies are coming, trying to have this facility, trying to have the in case of the intelligent people of India, all are good. But at the same time we also need to know that our house is not in order today, correct? Our houses is our prime responsibility today. Make our house correct, and then you see that what is happening, how it is coming, and I'm sure the demand, the situation will pull us into that global factor. So before I give you a very short, and then I am looking forward very intelligent market in India, very intelligent. I'm sure that we have a very intelligent people, very intelligent system also should come into the place. Customers mind. Now we are spending time as per this session, and the intention of this session is to make the awareness in the industry that we need smart factory. We're into that level. So level by level, we have to move forward. I'm sure that coming generations are will take it forward to make it global. I'm 100% sure on this.
So actually, what Mr. Subroto alluded was, I mean, I totally agree with that. That there is a lot of things to do to correct a lot of areas where we have efficiency gaps or process gaps, I would say. But having said that, the government's focus, if you see, they have identified sector-wise areas where we really want to be Atmanirbhar from, I mean, quote unquote. So, for example, chemical or pharma or say automotive, even on the food side, the kind of investments that are coming into food parks and the cold storages and many other things. That would certainly give a lot of traction to the agriculture and allied industries, the manufacturing in the food, beverage, and consumer side. And obviously, the focus on reducing our dependence on other countries when it comes to chemical manufacturing or the pharma API side. These are some areas where the government's focus is high, and I believe that in another 3 to 5 years, we'll start seeing results of this. And but at the same time, the manufacturers have to parallelly work on early adaptation to the smart manufacturing concepts to make it more efficient and productive.
So I want to restrict this, my comment, I want to restrict it with respect to smart manufacturing and, about how it can help the Indian, you spoke about
Right.
becoming a global manufacturing hub, right? So I think first of all, is it that should really be our goal and aim. That's the only way we're going to have a much larger manufacturing footprint in the country. That is the only way how we can ramp up the employability or employment opportunities in the country in a very inorganic, I would say, in a logarithmic fashion, not in a straight line curve. Okay, so I think that's first of all. Of course, is it happening? Yes, I think it is happening, and I think the industry is taking the lead more than anything else. Of course, the government policies are being designed towards that, but as it always happens in India, I think the industry takes the lead, um, and when that happens, the government policies kind of follow suit or they open up. The best case example for something like this is the IT industry.
Right.
You know. Um, Now, from a smart manufacturing, how can that help in this path and this goal? I think if you have to be a part of the global manufacturing ecosystem, if you have to plug into the global supply chains, three things that we need. One is competitiveness, which comes from scale. It comes from, is productivity. The other is quality. Of course, the product has to be really, really, really high quality. Not and all components have to be high quality, not just the finished product. We can't say that the car we produce is of a global quality, even if one small ring, or the washer is not the global quality, then the car is not global quality. I think we all know the O-ring problem of NASA. So I don't want to get into that. And the third is reliability. We deliver when we say we will deliver, we deliver what we said we will deliver, or better than what we said we will deliver. And for all the three aspects, if we have to make it happen, we must have smart manufacturing. We cannot do it in the traditional way. We cannot do it in a very manual way unless we want to make a handicrafts industry. We cannot do that. So we must have smart manufacturing to really propel the Indian manufacturing to become a part of the global supply chain first, and then eventually for India to become the global manufacturing hub.
So with this, we'd like to announce closing of today's session. Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on smart factory and Indian manufacturing. Delegates, we hope you have enjoyed the session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Subrata Karmakar from ABB India, Mr. Shamir Gandhi from Omron Automation, and Mr. Shamir Mudalwadkar from Red Line Controls. Thank you so much, all of you. Thanks to all the delegates and viewers. So that's the end of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you, sir.